Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me for another urban legend. Tonight, I'll be telling a classic tale of terror revolving around a house in the woods, a lone babysitter, and one terrifying twist. Get a blanket, or whatever else might offer you a false sense of security. This spine-tingling yarn is called Footprints. Once upon a time, in a remote house deep in the woods, lived a family consisting of a girl named Rebecca, her little brother Timmy, and her parents. The family was happy and lived peacefully in their humble abode, surrounded by nature's beauty. Their house was large and had 2 floors, with Timmy's room being upstairs while the rest of the family lived downstairs. One evening, while the family was having dinner, they received an urgent phone call from the grandparents of the kids, who lived in a totally different city. Sadly, these grandparents had fallen ill, and their parents had to rush to their side immediately. They were forced to leave Rebecca in charge of Timmy for the whole night, and for the first time. Rebecca was ready though. After her parents departed, she took charge, cooked dinner, and when it was time, tucked Timmy into bed in his upstairs room. As night fell, so did a fresh blanket of snow, turning the surrounding woods into a winter wonderland. However, this peace and tranquility were short-lived as Rebecca started hearing odd sounds such as scratching and bumping coming from outside of the house. She tried to ignore them at first, thinking it was just the wind, but as the sounds continued, they started to get louder and more frequent. Eventually, the young girl got scared, thinking of her little brother upstairs, and decided to call her friend Nancy to come over and keep her company. As Nancy arrived, Rebecca explained what had been going on, and after concluding that it was probably just imagination run wild, they decided to watch a scary movie to try and take their minds off of things. Perfect idea, right? This movie was called The Axe Murders, and it was about a serial killer who used an axe to kill his victims within their own homes. While the girls foolishly thought that watching this movie would help them feel less scared, it only made things worse. Later in the night, they were looking out of the huge front windows of Rebecca's house, watching the snowfall outside, with only occasional snowdrifts visible over the darkness. As they were gazing out, however, something caused them to freeze in fear. They noticed a large figure was lurking a ways out in the woods. They both focused their attention on this figure, and as he came closer, they could see it was a huge man brandishing a nasty-looking axe, and donning a mask seemingly stitched together out of something that strongly resembled human skin. Initially, the girls tried to scare this man off through the window, but the figure darted out of view, and the girls quickly closed the blinds. They immediately called the police, who arrived just a few minutes later. Rebecca and Nancy watched as the police inspected the whole yard, searching through every tree and thick bush, before finally approaching the house. The police asked if anyone else was inside, but something about their tone seemed strange. When Rebecca realized that she had forgotten about little Timmy upstairs and revealed this to the police, one officer pushed quickly past them and sprinted straight up the stairs. Shortly after, there was a loud commotion, complete with scratching, banging, and grunts. Rebecca and Nancy began to panic and demanded from the other officers to know what was going on, to which one remaining officer explained that the snow outside was fresh and that other than their own footprints, there were no other tracks out front. Just as the situation dawned on the girls, the officer who disappeared upstairs walked back into view and down the stairs with a massive man who notably was now unmasked. In that moment, Rebecca came to the chilling realization that they were never really looking at anyone in the yard, but were actually staring into a reflection, and the killer had been inside and right behind them the whole time. The police, who were able to stop the killer just before he drove his axe into little Timmy's skull, arrested the man, and the girls were relieved that they were safe. However, they never forgot the events of that night and always made sure to keep their doors and windows securely locked. Oh, and they learned one highly valuable lesson: that sometimes danger can be closer than it appears. Thanks for joining me for my version of the classic urban legend, Footprints. If you enjoyed this scary story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this upload, and share me with anyone you feel deserves a good scare. I'll see you next time.